So to tell us that we should unmoor our fiscal or national security beliefs from our moral beliefs is not only idiotic and illogical, it's stupid. So we have this attack going on the nature of citizenship. We have this attack going on the nature of this society, a moral society, the civil society. And we're told these are the leaders of the Republican Party. Jeb Bush, Mitch Daniels, and Chris Christie. They are? Well, they're not my leaders. Doesn't mean they're not good governors. Doesn't mean that Jeb Bush wasn't a great governor. But there's a difference between being a governor and president when you're in charge of the border, when you're in charge of so many other things. And your first priority is protecting the civil society. And one of the characteristics of that society is moral policies. Moral policies. I'm not talking about puritanical policies. I'm talking about policies that aren't going to be destructive of this society. And I think we need to shape our arguments like this. I think we need to think this through based on that. Otherwise, we're going to have all these green-eyed shade debates, which is exactly what the liberals want, and then we will lose our country. Somebody needs to say to President Obama, this budget is immoral. It's immoral because what it does to my children and my grandchildren. It is immoral to confiscate their future with your massive red ink. It is immoral not to spend an additional cent on border security, some kind of physical structure to helping obstruct the flow of illegals into this country. It is immoral to allow that situation to continue. It is immoral to squander the hard-earned dollars of people who pay taxes and to shut down their businesses. It is immoral to promote an agenda that ensures double-digit unemployment and home foreclosures as far as the eye can see. How do you separate, quote-unquote, the social issues from any other issue? Let me put it at a basic level. When you tell your kid not to steal, why are you telling them that? When you tell your kid not to cheat on a test, why are you telling your kid that? Those are moral values. Do you tell your kid, get an A no matter what? Do you tell your kid, get me, whatever's in the window at the cheapest price possible, even if you have to steal it? No! Your own household, your own family structure is based on a basic morality. Well, shouldn't our society be as well? Otherwise, we have presidents who lie through their teeth without any bit of shame, who present budgets to Congress that will destroy this society over time, who signs into law a health care bill that is destructive of our health and our care because he and his ideology are unmoored from morality. This is why I was saying the other day, I can't vote for somebody for president who tells us, the social issue. What do they even mean by the social issue? This is an entire way of living and thinking and behaving and governing. You don't say, you know what, today we're going to be moral, but not tomorrow. Put that aside. When you have a war on red ink, what is that based on? It's based on the moral notion that destroying a moral society is immoral to humanity. That's what it's based on. Ronald Reagan understood that. You know who else understood that? Abraham Lincoln. You know who else understood that? Edmund Burke. That's you can't separate out little chunks and pieces the way that politicians demand that you do. And then I read in some of these conservative sites, we liked the Mitch Daniels speech because he wasn't pandering. Of course he was pandering. The whole Tea Party movement rose up in response to the disastrous policies of this president. And even before, we're well aware of what this debt can do to the nation. What we're looking for is a political leader with a vision for this country. The vision that the Founding Fathers promoted. The vision that Abraham Lincoln promoted. The vision that Ronald Reagan promoted. That's what we're looking for. Somebody who can stand toe-to-toe with Obama. When he talks about compassion being more government and more spending, to have the clarity of mind to say, you know what, Mr. President, you're destroying the future for my children and grandchildren. That's immoral. You've already created $5 trillion in debt. Who's going to pay for that, Mr. President? But your kids and mine and children who are yet born. You tell us that you can't cut $60 billion from this budget. Are you telling us that every single expenditure out of this $3.73 trillion is worth indebting my children and grandchildren? Do you also understand, Mr. President, that 10, 15 years from now that what you're doing will destroy this society and transform it into something else? What exactly do you want to transform the society into? What exactly are your objectives? What exactly are your principles, Mr. President? And do your principles and objectives and viewpoints comport with the Constitution? If so, where? Where does the Constitution grant a president the power to do what you want to do? Are there leaders out there who are capable of this? I think there are. But if they're just focused on, well, I'm on this leg of the conservative, there are no legs of the conservative movement. There's a way of living. There's a belief system. There's a belief in a way of governing. There's not a three-legged stool. Whenever I address one of these Republican candidates and what they've said, and I've read carefully what they've said, and I know a lot of their backgrounds, we usually get a response like this. You're distorting Mitch's record. You're distorting what he meant. I'm not distorting a damn thing. I know what he said. I'm saying something different. I disagree with him. Let's take Chris Christie. Chris Christie will go on and on about public sector unions and the fiscal situation in New Jersey. And let me tell you something. That's to his credit. His state's going under. That's his job. And it needs to be done. Or you folks in New Jersey, you're going to suffer a horrible financial fate. You think your housing prices are now down. You better pray to God that Chris Christie is successful in what he's trying to do. But Chris Christie has done other things. Am I supposed to turn a blind eye to it? Am I a drone just like the left when it comes to Obama? Man's for gun control. Gun control? What about the Second Amendment? The man is, he's not as forceful in his positions as he should be across the board. I'll give you an example. Obamacare. How many out there support Obamacare? Well, then why is the governor of New Jersey sitting on the sideline? Oh, you've got the excuses, his supporters. Well, he's busy doing other things. No, he's not. He's in Washington giving a speech tonight. But he can't sign on to a petition, a brief? Obamacare is the worst entitlement in American history. It's going to be destructive of the relationship between the doctor and the patient. I don't need to tell you about all this. And he's missing in action. Now, he may be a leader in New Jersey, and I just praised him for that. He is not a national leader. Well, Mark, he's not saying... No, he is. Those other governors and attorneys general, they signed on, and they did so proudly. Like the Attorney General of Virginia, as an example. More, so I can piss off more Republicans when I come back. There is no leader of the Republican pack right now. Certainly none of those who are positioning themselves. There are good people, by the way. And that includes people I disagree with who are good people. Let me continue. The people who sound most like Reagan to me, having worked in two of his campaigns, having worked in his administration for 8 years, are people who are not considered leading contenders or who are dismissed very easily. When you listen to their message and put aside all the spin and all the media, conservative and otherwise, saying they can't win, they shouldn't run, who sounds the most like Reagan? Or let me put it this way. Who is espousing conservative principles without trying to split hairs? Who is presenting a vision for this nation that others cannot or will not? Michelle Bachmann. Sarah Palin. I'll give you some others. I'm not saying I'm supporting anyone for president now, okay? Just stick with me on this. I'm not talking about electability. I'm saying the message. Let us focus on the message, the content. Alan West. And I also think Rick Santorum. And I'm going to tell you why I focus on Rick Santorum. Because he has the guts to make the point that I've been trying to make the last few days about the common thread between all these issues. Again, I'm not talking about Puritan morality. I'm talking about the kind of thing that was expressed in the Declaration of Independence. There are others, too. My point is not to give an endless list of one or the other. And by the way, I need to be clear about one other thing. When I say I can't vote for certain people, I mean in the Republican primary. I can vote for a tin can. if that's the Republican nominee against Barack Obama. We'll be right back. I'd like to see Marco Rubio jump into this race. And I also said Rubio and Jindal. I'm serious. All right, enough of that. You know, I'm looking here at the Hill newspaper. The Obama administration Health Department office tasked with selling the health care reform law is looking to quadruple its budget while almost doubling the size of its staff. Under the Department of HHS fiscal 2012 budget request, the Assistant Secretary for Public Affairs would get a bump, the office would, from $4.8 million to $19.9 million in fiscal 2012. The office would grow from 24 to 46 full-time equivalent employees. In other words, they're going to increase the size of its propaganda machine to try and convince you that Obamacare is the way to go. Now, I'm listening to the media already. It reminds me when I was in the Reagan administration about Obama and the Republicans squaring off over the budget. Ladies and gentlemen, it is not Obama and the Republicans squaring off. It's Obama and us squaring off. The media act like we're not involved. The media act like we're not affected. And to the extent we are affected, they bring up the sob stories of somebody not getting their heating subsidy. Right. Over $3 trillion in spending, $60 billion in cuts, and somebody's not getting their heating subsidy. Yeah, right. We'll buy that one, won't we? How about if the whole damn system collapses? What happens to all of our heat? Gets pretty cold, doesn't it? And that's what we're talking about. This isn't about Obama versus Boehner, or Obama versus Ryan, or Obama versus this Republican or that Republican. It's about Obama versus us. It is we who are attempting to defend our families and our pensions and our health care and our homes and our income and our other assets from Obama. We just sent 63 new members, over 80 new members, but 63 new members to the House to take the majority power away from Pelosi, to create a check on Obama. And Obama says, what? Screw you. This is not a battle between Obama and the Republicans. It's a battle between Obama and us. We, the people. We don't want to see our society pushed closer to the edge anymore. And that's what he's doing. I mean, I'm reading all these articles. Here's the Wall Street Journal. Stephen Moore, who's a very good guy, by the way. Now, there's a dispute simmering between the White House and House Republicans about how much the budget increased during President Obama's first 2 years in office. So what? So what? Once again, I want to say it is not Obama versus the Republicans. It is Obama versus us. We are the ones who have said, where we can say it at the ballot box, enough is enough. And he resists us. He rejects us. He plows ahead. His Department of HHS, over at CNSnews.com, Terry Jeffrey points out, is about to become the first $1 trillion cabinet department ever. Did you ever think there'd be $1 trillion cabinet department? Don't allow the media, which is cheering Obama on, which wants him to overcome the will of the people. Don't allow the media to treat this as some kind of tennis match. It's not a tennis match. Don't let the media try to define this as Democrat versus Republican. It's not Democrat versus Republican. Barack Obama is the most powerful man in the nation. He is one of the three branches of government. And he is using that branch of government in ways that the founders did not intend. And he is defying both branches of government, that is the judiciary in Florida and one house, possibly two houses of Congress. He's definitely defying us, the American people, who've made it clear every way we possibly can, survey after survey, poll after poll, and, of course, in the landslide election in November, that we object. But he doesn't care. He thinks he's cool enough and clever enough and deceptive enough and cunning enough that he can just keep plowing ahead. When you hear a news report, whether on this station or whether on television, whether today or tomorrow, that says Obama and the Republicans are scoring off, Obama's picking a fight with you, with me. This budget affects us. Massive tax increases, at least 15 of them. Massive spending. He does not control the deficit in any respect.